Hey everybody.
Everybody.
Awesome. Welcome back. This is another week of GRWC, Rekilling the Fire Marriage Ministry. I'm Pastor Lamar
Minister Jessica Jones.
and we are coming today. We're going to talk about something really big that's happening in marriages, and that is effective communication in marriage. Had those little conversations. You're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. You hear me? No, it's all those different things that are going on in communications in marriage that sometimes we're not really listening.
Right.
So on this podcast, our scripture reading is going to come from First Corinthians, first chapter, and the 10th verse. And it reads, it says, "Now I plead with you, brothers, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that you all speak the same thing, and that there will be no division among you, but that you be perfectly joined together in the same mind, in the same judgment." What about it? What are those things that you are not saying the same as? What are y'all having problems at? What are those different areas? So let's say to have a better communication in marriage, couples should practice active listening. You know, those things, those big old things behind your head are tools that we have to use when we call this thing called communicating. Communication is both ways. It's not just one way and then nothing bounce off or reciprocal to come back the other way. It is a two-way situation. Which
And then the I statements. That's when you're saying, "What is how you feel?" Like, for example, I think you might feel frustrated when your spouse might try to talk like this while you're talking. Like you might feel uh, like this uh, uh, overwhelmed. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed. He leaves his shoes in the living room. Those are some examples of I statements. I statements are based on how you are feeling.
That's what you feel. You feeling a certain way.
Yes.
About my shoes. What they ever do to
OCD.
You? What they ever do to you?
And then we have the non verbal cues. So that's like something like when you're not actually saying it, but you're like giving your spouse that eye look, or you give them that little elbow thing, or that little knee thing, like on their knee. That's not okay. That's enough. Chill out.
So you ever had that parent where she didn't say nothing across the room, but you knew what she was saying?
Mm-hmm.
Those are nonverbal cues. When they look across the room and you like, oh God. Okay, you understand what they're saying, because sometimes we all have a off day, and sometimes we just don't realize, because we want to prove a point that we want to say what we want to say just to get it off our chest. But sometimes those things need to dial back just a little bit.
Yeah, then sometimes we also do that so we don't like just go too far. Press each other's buttons.
Using a mirror technique is to repeat back what was heard. A lot of time in communication, someone says something and you completely blow off what the other person has said. They not even acknowledge what they said. You hurt me. But you will say that you hurt me too, but you didn't hear the rest of it. Why? You didn't get that part, or you didn't actually hear what that person had said to you, and took it into any value. Taking time out for heated disagreements and avoiding blame and criticism. That's the first thing we do when I say you did it.
And then we try, just to get back to get the other person because they said something.
Right. Your marriage is not a back and forth challenge. Because sometimes we will take it out to be put in the streets, and then figure it out. This is not a street. This is the marriage, and you got to go to sleep at night. You don't want to be sleep with a one eye open type situation, and you just wonder like what. And that was her nonverbal cue.
Yeah. That's true. Then sometimes you just gotta take like this time out while like you're going. I might take another room or just taking a walk, just to blow off some steam. But then, just prior to you, I'm going back, like just prior to you, I'm going to bed. I'm gonna try to work that out before you go to bed at night.
Mm-hmm. But we have to create a safer environment by having more productive conversations in a calm and respectful manner. One thing that you need to look posture. Mm-hmm. Y'all shouldn't be standing straight up like this. This is not a fight. Sitting down is a gentler way of approaching each other when it doesn't look threatening. Mm-hmm. Or it creates that especially for a man is like they go head to head, and we shouldn't be going head to head. We need to sit down, talk calmly, in the living room or dining room, the kids are gone, whatever, and have that dialogue. That's what we have to have, not just let me say everything I gotta say and then take it. No, it's a communication of back and forth.
Yeah, like this, so your tone like it matters. Mm-hmm. When you're talking with your spouse, you gotta have a respectful, chill type tone.
Yeah. And also do know your spouse. You need to know your spouse. How some are expressive and some aren't. I'm very expressive and she may be more reserved, but don't take it into a point where it's like, yeah, he's being more than what he actually is. But you being with your spouse, you should be able to pick up on some of those things where it's not really threatening. It's just more of how they express themselves as an individual. Mm-hmm. We need to explore like needs and set boundaries and focus on like shared goals and can further strengthening those marital bonds through that communication. Like we like movies, we like we want to save money. It's like those different things are communications or ways of what we want to do together as a whole rather than us doing things as a part.
Right, a shared goal could be that that's taking like a vacation somewhere. Mm-hmm. Putting away some money just to do that. That's something that you both like want to do.
Yes, and those things are through talking. Mm-hmm. You can't just do it and just be like, she know what I am. We want flesh. She should know what I'm feeling, but we can't. No, first of all, we can't be so quick to actually think what she think and think what I think. That brings a scripture to in my mind, James, the first chapter, 19 verse through 20, where it says, know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of a man does not produce the righteousness of God. How you is a marriage. This is the righteousness of God is where we try to be. And, I know being from the streets, especially growing up, that was those quick tones where somebody crack on you or somebody say something, you had a response first before you thought about anything after that. And we have to have that balance of just sitting back and listening. We're so quick to fight each other.
That's Lord. So I guess on our next, I like this argument. Like, we both gonna have to quote this scripture. First James 1, 19 and 20.
You know what James 1, 19 and 20 said. You heard him.
You heard what the Lord said.
You heard what the Lord said in his word. Don't be saying that. Did you listen? Don't be quick.
This is part of like effective communication strategies for First James 19 and 20.
All right. What are some effective things?
Effective listening. Like focus on what your partner is saying. We have to listen to each other. Like really listen to each other. Because sometimes when you're feeling heated, you kind of don't hear what that person is saying. So you really have to, take in like what they're saying. Not try to over talk them and talk while they're talking.
So some of our disadvantages not what many people know, my wife, she is dumb and hard of hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes those cues could get mixed up, that's how after all these 15 years, it is still a learning process to have practice active listening. How I would say, because sometimes she might hear it and it might not be clear, but it might be something totally different when she listened to, and then how it responds back to me, and it's like, wait, what are you talking about? I have to take in mind that sometimes she doesn't hear me clearly, or she didn't gather what I was saying. So one of those mechanisms is she looking at me and looking at my lips, so she can know what I'm saying. And sometimes she might be busy, and I might be busy, and we just try to focus on trying to listen in our ears, but sometimes the message does get missed. How you hear it in church, don't count it into count it onto my heart or anything like that. Sometimes we do mess up. We're human. Some of us.
Yeah, that's true.
Observing non-verbal cues. It's just paying attention to the body language, eye contact, and tone of voice as you convey significant meaning. I can say hi, and it doesn't sound so like it sounds nonchalant when I said it. Hi, it's nonchalant, but yet even the tone paints a picture of what you're feeling. Yeah, so you got to be careful of how you saying things, the tone of your voice, and when we come home, we got little Doug, and he has he doesn't speak, but his cues is, I'm glad you're home. Where you been? Those are those times, even when we see our spouse, like, hey, how you doing? And I didn't go with my eyes and whatever, and she was like, I'm like, what? That's how I met you. Things I would say like that.
We also have to watch our body language.
Yeah, our body language. And sign language. It is a
visual.
Is a visual learning thing. So I know some sign language, and she's looking at every little thing I'm doing.
What's wrong with you?
And might gather it to be differently from what I'm feeling.
Right.
What else?
Open-ended questions. So dig deeper to see what your partner is feeling. So it's important, like just to ask questions.
Like I said earlier, I can't stand when or
I feel frustrated.
I feel frustrated when you hurt me when, and that needs an answer, not the bounce on say, I feel such and such. Yes, I feel such and such. You did not listen or heard what they just said. Yes. Use the I statement. Yeah.
That was the example. We already talked about that. Like,
okay.
I feel, I feel frustrated.
I feel this, but you need an answer to why that person feels that way. And that opens up a double level of communication when it's like, yeah, I didn't know you felt like that. I'm sorry, or things like in that matter. And it's like, you may have did this, but I may have done this because of that. It's a reason. And I always say there is a a reaction after every action. Every time you say something, it will cause a reaction, but sometimes we gotta take it in and be slow. Was that? That's our new word now. Slow to anger. James 1:19 and 20. Yeah. That's our new good. It's not. Yeah, our own cuss word. That's our own cuss word. Do you know what James 1:19 20 says?
All right, so it's important just to speak to our spouse and to clearly talk about how we feel. You know, sometimes you might even need to like to speak with like a marriage counselor about that, even speak with your pastor about that, just to better learn how to voice
What you're feeling.
like this you're feeling to your spouse. And some people, it's harder to talk, you know what I mean? Because it depends on how you were brought up. It goes back to that. You know, like how you were raised, how you were brought up. You know, some families like you're not allowed to talk. You know, some families like just like they're the parent. You know, they don't ask the child like just how they're feeling. So you have to like you don't have much of a say. You know what I mean? So it goes back to that, like how you were brought up. Like some families, you know, they like to talk a lot, they like to see how the child is feeling. So you know, and some of that sometimes get drawn into your marriage and for your relationships.
And finding Facebook is not, like I would say, failing Facebook to define your feelings is not it. You know, you need an actual licensed professional or a pastor that deals with those types of situations, because you want to understand what you're feeling, and then when you say it out loud, then you can hear that part of you and like, oh, okay, I understand now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time out, which we kind of talked about. You know, it's important like just to separate, go to separate corners. You know, don't press each other's like buttons, because words do hurt. Some things we can't just take back. So when you feel yourself getting to that point where you're about to explode or something, you know, just go to separate corners. Go into another room, take a walk, and come back and have that calm. You know,
and please convey that. Don't dip out. And that's it. No, I need a moment. I need a minute, babe. When I come back to it, I need a minute. Because, you know, that's a verbal cue also. You just leave out the door. And the other person, and you know, the enemy will come in. And those little times talking about something, oh, she gone, won't you go too? You know, like, you know, we don't want the enemy to have any break inside our relationship. For emotional connections y'all gonna have, even to the points where what y'all feel most and cherish. You know, those are times when that enemy will come in there and try to define each one of those sections, and then you'll formulate an idea that is not even from God. It's just an idea because of how you feel. So that's why the communication is a very effective tool when it comes to how you feel. It's nothing to say give me a minute, or it's nothing to say how you feel, but that break is important. But I ain't saying going in that other room and going to sleep. I don't know where that came from. Maybe the old folks did that, whatever, but y'all definitely need to talk before the night closes. Or what else?
What is one thing that worries you like the most? So help us to create a safe environment. There are like 5 steps to not be judgmental.
So that's create a space where your partner feels safe to open up. That's a terrible feeling when your partner cannot really open up with you, or they'll shut down.
Right.
And nothing gets solved, and it'll be that little blemish that keeps going into your relationship, and it doesn't take nothing for it to build and to actually explode. Right. So we want to avoid blame and criticism. Right. Focus on the problem,
and not like attack each other.
You know, that's it, and that's easy said than done. You know, because if we didn't talk about it right now, then wait to the next conversation, then it's like
come back.
It's like you wrote a check. You know, like on this day you did such and such, but why didn't we talk about it then? So and then you still had an art against your spouse. You had an art against them, and you should not be going to sleep with anger and all this different bitterness, because it builds. It doesn't sit still. It's like when anything that's stagnant, it gets contaminated. It gets dirty. It gets grimy. It gets greasy. It gets worse than when it started. And then when it finally we get back to conversating, and we get back to arguing, or we have an issue or problem,
come back up.
It comes right back up. But then now it's even worse with a bitter tongue. It ain't coming back the same way you received it because it marinated for too long. And now it comes back. You be like, I'm like, why you ain't say nothing then?
The second step is to take a responsibility. So we have to like acknowledge just our part in the conflict. So it's easy to blame the spouse, you know, but you gotta look at yourself and see.
Like I said, you did it, but you did it. You did it, but you know,
our own selves, like just to gather our thoughts, to look at ourselves to see like what we did to cause the problem, and not to look at the spouse because it's not always them. Sometimes it's you.
Yeah, I heard was it Apostle Alex? He said you don't give your spouse. The spouse is not the person. Is the person he gives you that you want, but he gives you the one to keep you holy. And I thought that was real deep, you know. And it's like, yeah, you know, we have times we like she get on my nerves, she get on my nerves, but it doesn't deter us because we've been going at this long. Something we doing something right. You know. I even heard that expression is green on up. Don't believe the hype. It might be green over there, but it might not have any water. It might look green now, but it ain't gonna have no water later. Yes.
So the third step is to to schedule time, right? Like this is set some time, just to have your pillow talks. That's what we call them, pillow talks. Just to have time for you and your spouse to talk about like your feelings, like just how you're feeling, or even if y'all had an argument that day, or if your spouse said something you didn't like, that's the time to really talk about it. That's the time to really express how you feel. Then you and your spouse can come together. That's the problem solve to work that out.
And it's not all about the arguing part. How's your day? You know, what's going on at work? What's going on with you in general? Just to knowing what your spouse's frustration. What is your frustration? You know, we all have things that build up over time. It doesn't have nothing to do with us, but it'd be nice that you had someone to feel comfortable talking to your spouse. You know what? That person got on my nerves. Who? You know, it's like that best friend that you always need. You know, that's an open conversation that we need definitely at Pillow Talks. If it's not even then, they're just sitting in the living room eating some coffee, a little breakfast, a little lunch. Just choosing some times where it could be just y'all. Right. You know, we always entertain everybody else because we schedule, but what about the unscheduled time when you have with your spouse?
Right. It doesn't always have to be at home. You can go out to dinner or something like that, lunch, go for a walk or whatever. Just schedule that time just for each other. The last step is using like the mirroring technique, right? We talked about earlier.
How that work?
Like using phrases like let me see it, look if I got that, or just to show each other that we're listening, like to each other, like that we understanding what each other is saying.
Yeah, is it more like repeating, or is it like
repeating what each other is saying? Because sometimes we can think a person is saying something, but we're not, and then we like interpret like what they're saying. So sometimes you got to ask your spouse for a clarification about what they're actually saying, so you can really understand like what they're trying to say.
Yeah, I understand, because sometimes in an argument y'all go back and forth, and then y'all go back to like, what were we arguing about?
Right. Yep.
What were we talking about? And nothing, and to me nothing got solved, but we just said what we felt,
right?
And that was it. And we wasn't actually soaking in what was going on in the whole situation. And we don't want any room for the enemy to come in at all. It's times like this that we have to cherish one another, and a lot of that is for effective communication. It ain't all about what I said or what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. It's about what we're going through. And my partner understands what I'm going through, and I understand what she's going through.
Right. So in closing, before we close, Wrap this up. It's important just to talk with your spouse at that time, but like each day, but y'all can just talk. It's important to own up. Take responsibility for a thing that you did. Not just look at your spouse for what they did. Don't let the judge your spouse. Like let them be a person where they can feel comfortable that is coming right to you, not just to talk about their
before you give them the 2 and 3 piece.
Yes. Yeah. And then the I statements, like I feel or I feel frustrated, those I statements are important to talk about, with your spouse. So you can see how you are feeling. Also tell your spouse about like things that you love about them, things you like appreciate about them. Don't always have to be something negative. You know what I mean? So sometimes like we need to hear those positive things about
reinforcements.
Each other.
Positive reinforcements. Always like it's coming out and be like, I like you, right? Like,
Yeah, this is like stuff like that, like just to help each other, just to smile to make your spouse feel good, brighten each other's day, because it's always hard, like just going out there like into the world. So
and the economy is changing, but y'all are still the same. So you need your best friend, and everything that's going on, no matter what it is, how big or how small, there's nothing that y'all cannot communicate or talk about. And if you do not have that support, can't find the support, because this is right here is the most important thing or covenant that you have said before God. This is the most important thing that you had said, and you have to protect it no matter what it is. Got to protect it. And communication, effective communication is one of those things that we have to do and talk with your spouse. So I'm glad to see y'all again. Keep coming to us week by week. We're going to definitely have something. Join us on our Facebook page. We're Killing the Fire Marriage Ministry. You'll see our pictures on there. We got also a conference coming on in February 14th on Valentine's Day. You can get your love on. Kindle let that fire that y'all had back burning. We definitely would love to have you. Going to have Dr. Virginia Booth and Dr. William Booth coming to bring their word and their experience, all that experience on February 14th of 2026. Please register. You see the flyer, jump on the page and look at all the information. And once again, we love you. We thank you for allowing us to share about effective communication. See y'all soon. We love you.
Bye-bye. Good night.